You're back at it again with another live show. This was going straight to YouTube though. Hey, so I wanted to get some stuff in the canister real quick while we got time, while stuff is still kind of fresh. But first, we're going to get a PSA. The PSA for today is when life is not terrible, it's actually pretty good. So just remember that, I don't know how you're going to apply that to your daily lives, but try to. Remembering that when life is not terrible, it's actually pretty good. All right, first thing we need to talk about today is the Megan Good hug, okay? And the reason why is because it was so polarizing, where a bunch of dudes saw exactly what was wrong with it immediately. There are a bunch of memes and videos and stuff like that that came out immediately from dudes. But a lot of women were like, I don't see nothing wrong with it, right? It's just a hug. It's just a hug. That's what I kept getting. It's just a hug. What's the problem? And she knew him, right? That's her friend, and it was just a hug. So I think there's a couple misconceptions in there that we can kind of clear up to help each other understand each other and form some kind of a bond linkage here, right? Some kind of a hive mind. So one thing I want to preface it by saying is that we're going to take it as if there were normal people, regular people, not superstars, right? Because I want to really get to what was wrong with it from a regular guy perspective, not from a celebrity perspective, okay? So we're going to take the celebrity portion out of it, and we're going to take out the portion where someone said there was an extended video where you could see homeboy smack hands with her dude first before he hugged her. I'm not saying that video doesn't exist. I haven't seen it, and I know that's not the video that most people have seen. You would have had to go do your own research to find that video, so we're just going to take the scenario to get to the point. We're going to take the scenario for what we saw. Okay, what we saw was he showed up on the scene. He maybe smacked hands with someone, some dude, not her boyfriend, some other guy. And then he hugged her chest to chest, and then he lifted her in the air. Gave her a little something like this, little shimmy. And then he sat her back down. She's ecstatic to see him. Super familiar. And then they took pictures where she positioned herself between him and her dude to make sure that they got in here with her. Okay. And so what's wrong with that? So a couple things. Number one, the level of familiarity. You got to understand, ladies, that when you are with your man, y'all haven't been together forever, right? Y'all either just starting or haven't been together that long, maybe a year or so. He is still watching the things that you do in order to determine, if what you're saying is true based on your actions, right? Actions speak louder than words kind of thing, right? So every interaction you have with another male is an opportunity for him to see if the things that you're telling him in private are true, and you really do feel that way, or if it's just words and the reality is what you show when you have an opportunity to be interacting with other males. And so for you to show that, right, for that to be your answer to that is what she did, that ain't the answer that you want to put in the canister, as they say. Because what is he supposed to do with that? What is he supposed to do with that now? And I think a lot of that comes from, a lot of ladies, when I talk to them, their mindset is, if I'm not having sex with him, I'm not physically having sex with him, then I'm not doing anything wrong, period. The bar for them for disrespect or inappropriateness is sex, physical having sex, intercourse. And if I'm not doing that, then I haven't done anything wrong. So when you put the bar at sex, at intercourse, then you would never do anything wrong. You know what I mean? Unless you actually had sex with somebody. And some women are still doing that. So, let's not say never. But for most women who, have some moral compass, they're not going to have sex with somebody else while they're in a relationship. And so if that was the bar, then you've never done anything wrong. So sure, in your mind, there is nothing wrong with it because you didn't physically have sex with him. But that is not the bar in most men's mind. To think that, the only thing that counts as wrongdoing is physical intercourse, we're working on two different definitions of wrongdoing then, if that's the case. there's a lot of stuff that you can do on the way to intercourse that would be inappropriate, uh, not tolerated, boundary crossing, long before you get to intercourse. Okay. The other thing, this hug for her dude probably wasn't on the level of cheating. He didn't think he was cheating, but uh, inappropriate, too much, way too familiar, too friendly. These are all things that ladies have heard a lot that they just ignore. I will tell you, not even in my relationship, but looking at other people's relationships, when a dude tell his girl, "You're being too familiar, you're being too friendly, you're being too this or that," she ignores him. She does not take it on board and say, "Oh, okay, you might be right." She says, "I'm not having sex with him, so I don't know what you're talking about." And for the ladies that want to stay in a relationship with another person, I would just tell you that I would be very, very clear on what his boundaries are when it comes to the opposite sex and what he considers disrespectful. It doesn't have to be cheating to be disrespectful or inappropriate. Okay, we posted a meme the other day where we'll talk about it later on about the dancing in the club and what's considered too far. But stuff like that matters, man. Matters. You want to disqualify yourself from being someone's wife, cross one of those boundaries. And then, like I said, sex is not the bar when it comes to that. That's number one. Way too familiar, way too friendly. Way too familiar, way too friendly. This was an opportunity for you to show him and the world that you're with me and you care about me and the way I feel more than you care about anybody else in your life situation. And you did not do that. You failed that test spectacularly in front of the world. So, it's just sad. It's a shame that there was an opportunity wasted there. You could have announced to the world, "You're with me and that's it." No, you failed that. So, okay, cool. So that's number one. I think number two, it wasn't just that it was too familiar. You got to, ladies, I would love for you to go into every situation like you want us to go into every situation. Y'all want us to go into every situation assuming that this female is on BS, right? Whatever it is. The lady that's asking me to take something down for her at the Walmart on the top shelf. You want me to assume that she's on BS. And so, taking that in consideration, now I got to plan my next steps. Do I do this or not? If I'm assuming that she's on BS, that it's not as innocent as she made it look. Do that. Do that for us. Say this might not be as innocent as he's making it out to be, right? Because he made it look like we just friends and we've been family forever and blah 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 blah. And so that's why he wanted a hug, but it may not have been that innocent. He may feel some type of way towards you and the way y'all interacted before, whatever that might have been. I don't know. I wasn't there. So I'm assuming he's on BS because I wasn't there. I don't know what y'all's prior interaction was. I know what you tell me, but, that's what you tell me. Okay? That's the portion you wanted me to know. So I don't know anything about how y'all interacted previously. And so if I'm thinking he might be on BS, and then you do that, now you just gave him one up on me. Right? Because now he can look at me like in front of you. You know what I mean? He can look at me like in front of you, son. That just happened. Feel how you need to feel. And he may not allude to that initially, right? So the way it played out in the video, he didn't, right? It was all good. Everything's all good. Say down the road, we bump shoulders in the club, and he bring it up. That's why in front of you. You did that to me. He didn't do that to me. Because you could have been the one to control that situation way back when. You had an opportunity to show the world what it was. You failed. You showed the world that when it's about him, that's what's important. Sure, it's about me sometimes, but when it's about him, that's important. That's what you just did. Right? He forever carries that. And so he may have been cool at the time, didn't think nothing of it. But now that we just bump shoulders in the club for whatever reason, now he's bringing it up. That's why in front of you. And I'll let you know that. And what am I saying? Like, no, that's not what happened. It did happen. It did. And you gave him that. You did that. That's not okay, ladies. That's not okay. And some dudes, I'll grant you this argument, ladies. Some dudes will not agree with me on this. Okay, some dudes are not gonna agree with me. It's not that deep. This is not. But a lot of dudes agree with me on this, and the reason why you can know that is because of all the stuff that came out about it. Right? It wouldn't have made the news if nobody agreed with me. You know what I mean? We wouldn't be sitting here talking about it if nobody agreed with me. Maybe we might have. I might have still said something like, I don't care. I think it's jacked up. But the fact is, it was a lot of backlash, and I wouldn't say backlash. It wasn't like she felt pressure about it, but it was a lot of media that came out pertaining to it because, again, a lot of dudes saw immediately what was messed up about it. So a lot of the media exaggerated the situation. Had her doing wild stuff with dude in front of her man, and then being like, what? That was the video, the premise of all the videos. And I mean, yeah, kind of. That's what we're getting at, is like the level of one-up you just gave this dude in front of me is crazy. And to say, oh, well, I didn't do nothing wrong because I didn't have sex with him is wrong. False. Okay? So I just want to bring that up. I'm not saying nothing, Jonathan Majors may not care. He may not care about none of this. I'm not saying he should or does. I'm saying, ladies that are in situations like that, you got to be aware of what you're doing. That's incredibly embarrassing to be standing there next to you while you're doing that with another dude. It's on a level that you can't understand. You know what I mean? And it's the same as how y'all try to do us about other women. You don't know, y'all be knowing what she on, even if we don't see it. We're men, we don't know what y'all be on, but y'all be knowing. You be like, nah, she ain't want no cereal from the sex. She was just trying to get you to. You know what I mean? Y'all be knowing, and we be knowing too. So consider that. Take every opportunity with the opposite sex as an audition or like a performance to show the world what you think about me. This is my best friend in the whole wide world, and even him I didn't hug, not in front of him, because he don't play that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would be helpful. I'll just say that. To solidify what it is between me and you and what it ain't. Type thing. So that's all. That's the Megan Good hug fiasco. That's what we call it. Boom, here's another video where a lady went on a podcast. Two dudes on a podcast. One of the dudes was shorter in stature. Okay, shorter in stature. He probably was, from what I can see, probably no taller than 5'5". Maybe up down to 5'2" for all I know. I don't know. He was a smaller guy. Boom! At some point in the podcast, they asked her what she thought of him. She said that he wouldn't qualify to be with her because he's too small. He's too short. Okay, now, granted, she was a big girl. I mean, this girl had to be like 5, probably 7. 5'7", probably most likely over 200 pounds. I'd say anywhere between 187 and like 210, somewhere in there. Okay, big girl. She said, you're going to be too small for me. Disqualified immediately. Didn't feel no type of way about it. I'm not saying it. Like, sort of kind of, he should already know. You know what I'm saying? Like, he already knew. So I don't feel bad about saying it because it's common knowledge. Fast forward in the podcast, she talks about the type of dude that she would go for, right? Her list of qualifications. Y'all already know the list. Over $100,000 a year, over 6 feet tall. Gotta have ambition and that's stupid. Same stuff that everybody says, so there's no news there. But what happened was the host told her that, you don't qualify for that dude. Dude that you just described, because of her size. He told her that she did not qualify for the dude that she's looking for because of her size. Because she's as tall as she is and as big as she is. And that made her cry. But that is true. That is true. Because you're talking about a dude that has options. If all of y'all are describing on your checklist, 6 foot tall, $100K a year, 1 or 2 baby moms, blah, 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 blah. And then that dude exists. That means he has options because all of you want the same thing. Okay? So he can pick between y'all. So why would he pick the 5'8", 210-pound female? out of all of you. Why would he do that? And so for her, it should have been common knowledge that she didn't qualify. But it wasn't, She felt like she deserved it. And he's telling her that she doesn't qualify for it because of the way she looks, and that made her cry. But then his rebuttal to that was, didn't you just tell this dude that because he's short, he don't qualify? So how is it that that's okay to do, right? Because you got standards, and he should have just known. But then when I'm sitting here telling you that you don't qualify for the men that you're looking for, that makes you cry. Like I said, something messed up to you, disrespectful or something. What do you think men are out here doing? Do y'all not think that we're out here parsing through the field just like y'all are? So I don't understand this idea. It seems like as the royal you, I'm not saying you personally, but the royal you, have this idea that you just deserve the man that you're looking for. No matter what you look like, no matter how you act or behave, no matter what you do or do not bring to the table, you just deserve the man that you're looking for, and you should have him, and you're going to get him. So again, it brings you back to the point that I make often. A lot of you are looking for someone who's not looking for you. And he may exist. He may be out there. But when he has the field to choose from, why would he choose you? Answer that question honestly. Why would he choose you? Better yet, answer why he wouldn't. What are good reasons why a man who has the field, as an option, why would he not choose you? What is it about you that would make it so that he would say, nah, because there's a better option this way? Because she could have known. If she had done that math, she could have known I am, a really big girl compared to the other girls. So maybe, and then that'll help you in your search. Like maybe I ought to not be looking for the same dude everybody's looking for. Maybe I ought to, consider some of these dudes that are around me who are decent dudes. Maybe not perfect. Maybe don't check all my boxes, but they're decent guys. And they would treat me well, and we have some chemistry and this, and that. I think it would help you on your search to take a realistic inventory and, cater your inventory to who you're looking for. Make it so that who you're looking for is actually looking for you. All right? And you might help yourself there a little bit. Well, I just thought that was interesting. Especially the idea that she would so easily dismiss someone and then feel like she should not be so easily dismissed. No. Realistic inventory. So, boom. What's my man's name? Kevin Samuels, man. Kevin Samuels made a video where he was saying that in his, show, he talks to so many women. Everybody knows that, how many women he ends up talking to, trying to help them find men and be realistic about their expectations and so on. He said the one thing that he has found when he's talking to women is that women do not like to be or want to be bored, ever. They don't want to be bored. When they start feeling bored, they start feeling like they're falling out of love with you. So he was like, how do you make it so that she doesn't get bored? You have to keep her engaged in the relationship and what's going on with it. And the way you do that is cheat. And that sounds ridiculous. I know. It sounds stupid. That sounds stupid. And every woman in the world would be like, no, that's not a thing. But the problem with that is, in other places where you listen to women talk, it's kind of true. Like the dudes that are doing everything for their woman, and the woman is secure in her place with him and has no reason to believe that he would ever cheat on her, and probably pretty much feels like he definitely would not ever cheat on her. When she's that secure in her place with him, she's getting bored. And when she gets bored, that's when she gets cheaty. That's when she starts looking for some excitement, looking for something else to do, something more engaging. And then bad things happen. And so it's when you how many people have known women to be in relationships with men who are cheating on them, and they are aware that they have cheated in the past, they're probably cheating right now, and they're super engaged in their relationship, and it's never boring. There's always action. There's always some action. She's calling you in the middle of the night, wants you to come out, get in the car with her, and drive by his house. You know what I'm saying? Make sure he's there. But she heard that he's down at the movie theater. She wants you to come with her and see if he actually is there. You know, go to the club and take pictures if you see him there and send them to me. You know, find out who the girl is and let's go on her social media and send her a DM and see when the last time they were together. She's super engaged in that relationship. She is not bored. She's a lot of things, but bored is not one of them. But let him act right. You know what I mean? And love her and only her. She's going to go find something else to do, man. And so it's messed up. I mean, he's kind of saying that you kind of have to cheat or she's going to cheat on you. And it's crazy because it's kind of true. It's kind of true, man. So I don't know. I don't know how much stuff I put into that sock. But kind of. At least kind of. That's what I think is funny about it. Like, as crazy as it sounds, I mean, at least kind of. You know, I don't know, ladies. That's what, you know. That's y'all saying it. It's not us. When y'all get bored, you start doing stuff. That's just true. Boom, 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 boom. What else? I don't even talk about that. Like, I see it. I was going to talk about the Zeus Network and the show Aunt T with Tokyo Tony, Carlissa Saffold, and Tia Kemp. But I might come back to it, but it's so sad that I don't want to skip it for right now. I'll come back to it if I have to. Boom. Amber Rose was at the Republican National Convention speaking on behalf of our candidate Donald Trump. And I just don't understand why. Because what are we saying here when we have Amber Rose speak? What are we saying? Do we think that she's the pulse of the people? Amber Rose? Is she who we turn to for leadership when we don't know what to do? We're unsure, we're on the fence. We turn to Amber Rose for leadership? I just don't understand what she was doing there, you know? And she's not the only, black person that's endorsing Trump. There's a lot of black people endorsing Trump. Most of them have money, so go figure there. Yeah. It's like Dave Chappelle said, it's not about black and white when it comes to Trump. It's about green and green. Who has it and who don't. That's what it's about. So all the celebrities, black folks that you see that are endorsing Trump have that bottom line in mind. I have no doubt. So that's cool. But Amber Rose, I don't understand. I don't understand what she thinks she's doing. Don't understand what she thinks she's doing. I think sometimes you think you're being ironic, different, unique, special, and really you're just looking dumb. You ever see somebody wear an outfit and they think they did it? You know, NBA stars do this all the time. But they show up for the game and they put this outfit on. And you just know they don't have friends. You can't have friends because your friends would have told you don't wear that. Don't come out here like that. So I know you don't have friends now. That's what you just told me by what you wore to this NBA basketball game. And they stroll in. They can't be told nothing. This ain't hot. You know what I mean? And it just looks dumb. You just look dumb. You don't look stylish. You don't look like you're fashion forward. You just look stupid. Okay? I think that's kind of what's happening there when we talk about Amber Rose at the RNC. It's like, I know you think you're being ironic and special and different and unique, but you just look dumb. You just look dumb. You know, no one is sitting at home like, oh, snap. I was on the fence, but now that Amber Rose is over there, no one did that. So don't put yourself in positions to look dumb like that, man. And I'm not saying she didn't know what she was talking about. I'm not saying that. She probably did. She's probably researched her topics and knew what she was talking about. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, even if that were true, no one is looking. No one said to themselves, I don't know who I'm going to vote for, so let me wait until I know who Amber Rose endorses. It's not a male-female thing. It's not because she's a female. It's not that. It's because she's Amber Rose. Like, what credentials or qualifications does she possess that makes it so that we should listen to her? When did she become our leader? In any sense of the word. It's like when James Chappelle was talking about, stuff was going on and they cut the Ja Rule to see what Ja Rule thought about it. Like, nobody was waiting to see what Ja Rule thought about it. That's kind of how it is, man. And the same thing with Hulk Hogan. So that's the thing. That's how you can tell it's not a sexist thing. It don't have nothing to do with her past sexually or none of that. Because Hulk Hogan was there too, and he looked the same way. Like, who was waiting to see who Hulk Hogan endorsed? Who was like, yo, you know what they should do if they really want to get some votes? Bring Hulk Hogan out there. When did he become our leader? So anyway, I just thought it was very, very interesting to pick. Like, of all the people you can have come up there and talk and try to be persuasive, to say, you know who we need? And Rose. I don't know. You could have probably did the same amount of damage with Omarosa. I mean, she has the same level of influence, if you ask me, as Amber Rose does. So, you're not hurting nothing. Probably would have got it for cheaper. She ain't doing nothing. So, anyway, that's that. We'll end it there. Boom! So we were talking about earlier how I had put the picture up. And the question was, you're in a relationship, you go for a girls' night out. At your girls' night out, song comes on, you dance with your buttocks on a male who is not your partner. Your partner's not there, he's not present. Okay. Is this inappropriate? Is it cheating? Is it nothing? Is it just dancing? Right? The question got asked. There's a poll. Women and men both answered. And by a long landslide, the answer was that this behavior was inappropriate. And so why does that matter? Especially if you disagree. Say if you're a woman and you disagree. Like, again, our women's standard is sex. So if she's not physically having intercourse with this dude, she hasn't done anything wrong, as far as she's concerned. So what difference does it make that most people, both men and women, said that this is inappropriate behavior? I think the significance here is not in what individual people thought. It's in the collective. Meaning, if C was the answer that it was inappropriate for most people of both genders, races, all that, then that becomes what's called the reasonable person standard, right? If I'm just a reasonable person and you ask me a question and you want to know what I think, chances are much, much higher that I'm going to answer this way rather than that way. And the reason why that matters is because in any argument, in a relationship, the reasonable person standard also gets a vote. And that's what I really wish people would understand. Is that in the argument, you have what you think, you have what they think, and then you have the reasonable person standard that also gets a vote. Okay, so if I'm sitting here saying that I think, people was telling me you was at the club and you was out there dancing with your butt on homeboy, this, and that. I think that was foul. I ain't saying you're cheating, but I thought that was wild disrespectful. And if you say, no, it wasn't, there's another vote. And that is the reasonable person standard. And in this case, he's right. Because not only is he saying it was jacked up, the reasonable person standard says it's jacked up. Most people, anybody in this situation, just don't know nothing about nothing, everything is equal, would say that was jacked up. That matters. That matters. So while you want to be the only one on planet Earth that thinks that there's nothing wrong with that, you don't have an equal vote. You don't, because he has the reasonable person standard in his own vote. That is against you. He wins. He wins, man. And I really wish people would get that, man. The reasonable person standard says this is jacked up. This ain't just me. Anybody in this situation would say that was jacked up. And the fact that you don't know that doesn't make it less jacked up. The fact that you don't agree don't make it less jacked up. It's still jacked up. Okay? You just made me look stupid out there. Because anybody looking at that knows that you're with me by a reasonable person standard thinks that what you're doing is inappropriate. Right? And I'm telling you it is, because I feel that way too. And all you can do is tell me that no, it ain't, because I don't agree. You could be the only one standing there not agreeing, and you're right, more right than everybody. That is a good way to find yourself alone. I'll just tell you that. You could be right all day, standing outside by yourself. Go be right over there. All right? You can go be right over there. Because, no, that's not a thing. You can say that all day. I'd rather be over there than sit here and adhere to. Okay? Cool, man. Cool. So when you when you get up there in age and you still ain't got nobody, but you held your ground, not sure. I guess that's a win somewhere. I guess that's a win somewhere. Understand, people, the reasonable person standard gets a vote in every argument. Okay? Now, if you find yourself outside of it, you're wrong. Let it go. Say, okay, my bad, I ain't mean to. I ain't gonna do it no more. Let it go. All right? It was already wrong if they said it was wrong. Okay, so the fact that the reasonable person standard says you're wrong too is just extra. Honestly, you were already wrong because they said it was. It's his boundary. You crossed it. Take that. All right? Anyway, so think about that. That's why I thought that poll mattered. Not because of the scenario, but because of the reasonable person standard that gets applied. Boom, boom, boom. Happy wife, happy life. Is that a thing? I don't think it is. Most people don't anymore, I would say. Most people don't think that's a thing anymore. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But I think that puts an unreasonable standard on the relationship where it ain't no dude going to be able to live that way. He can try. He can pretend. I see a lot of dudes that do live that way. The way they get through it is with a lot of alcohol. So if you're okay with him agreeing to everything that you ask of him, but also he's just going to drink himself into a stupor to where you're not even there, so whatever you do is fine. And okay, that might work, but I think he's going to be cognizant of everything that you are doing and be okay with it. I think that's a stretch. It's just not sustainable, man. That is not sustainable. So I think anybody that's still holding on to happy wife, happy life needs to get a grip, come to reality. Happy spouse, happy house. Both of you are important. Both of you have feelings that matter. And both of you should be putting the other person above yourself as much as you possibly can. And if you're not doing that, you're making a mistake. Okay? So let that go, man. Let that go. Oh, what else? What else? Oh, there was this video where the dude was saying, when you ladies say something in passing that you don't even realize has just forever disqualified you from marriage with me, you will not be my wife after you just said that. Period. You don't know. You have no idea how often that happens. I mean, just like we talked about before, how men will talk themselves right out of, intercourse with somebody. The night's going well. Maybe she hasn't done nothing in a while, and she's willing to do it, but then he keeps, and it says something, and you're like, okay, definitely not. And you sit there and stay and, eat the meal and, be cordial and nice on the date, but this is the last time we're going to speak, buddy. But y'all do that with marriage, man, with us and with marriage. You'll say something in passing that will forever disqualify you. And you can't take it back. And you're not going to have another opportunity to make up. It's over as soon as you said it. I will tell you, I'll give you an example of when it happened to me. Boom. I was talking to my girlfriend at the time. We had been together for probably about a year at this point. And we were talking about just a hypothetical. Like, what if you were unhappy and these things you tried to talk to me about, but I wasn't listening, and blah blah blah. This and that. But it was a situation like that, very benign. I just wasn't listening. You were unhappy, blah blah blah. She was like, "Well, I would want to talk about it," and blah blah blah. I was like, "Well, what if I didn't want to talk about it at that time, or just didn't want to talk about it?" And she said, "Oh no, that I would just cheat on you until I found somebody else." And so later on, when I, made a big deal about that's the first thing you do. That's where you go with that. Is I didn't communicate at the time, or just didn't want to communicate with it, and you go to I'm going to cheat on you until I find someone else. That was your solution to the problem. So then she backtracked. I'm just saying that if you're not going to communicate, then what else is there to talk about? You just guaranteed the level of effort and input that I'm going to put into this relationship for the rest of it. And just like y'all, I'll finish this date, right? How y'all finish the dinner. We're going to take all the whatever we're willing to give for the rest of the night, but then we're not getting nothing. I will finish this. You're very convenient right now. You live right down the street from me. We've been seeing each other. You're familiar. Blah, 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 blah. But forever, no. You disqualified yourself. You have disqualified yourself, and there will be no forever. And you're going to need to find another dude. But for right now, you're convenient and you're fun for the most part. And, you haven't done anything yet that I know of. So I will stay, but you will not be my wife. And that happens just like, so that's what happened to me. But I know tons of times, ladies, y'all, a lot of times y'all are very talkative about what happened in previous relationships, why you felt justified to do what you did to him, and blah, blah, blah. That's the type of stuff that it gets you disqualified forever. There ain't no going back. There ain't no taking it back. There ain't no explanation. Okay, cool. We'll say something like, better him than me, man. I'm glad it won't me. But, and I guarantee you it won't be me, because at some point you're going to have to go. And I've already decided that early on. Be aware of that, ladies. That happens a lot more often than y'all probably even realize. So that's that. Mark Anthony and Cleopatra. Why am I bringing them up? How could they be significant in today's talk? Because I'm reading this book right now, just about history and ancient history back then, in that time. And the book got to the war between Mark Anthony and what's my man's name? Octavian, man. Basically Caesar's, I think, grandson, something like that. And when they got into this war, Cleopatra was with Mark Anthony, right? So he was one side of the Rome Civil War, fighting to be emperor. And Cleopatra was with him, and she was demanding all of these small provinces. She was the queen of Egypt, obviously. But she was demanding that Mark Anthony conquer and give her a bunch of small provinces, one of them being Judea, right? Israel. Okay? And so he was doing it. He was giving her whatever she wanted because he wanted to be with her. So he felt like if I just give her whatever she wants, including these provinces, then she'll act right and want to be with me and continue on this relationship. Cool. But what he didn't know is that when she went into Judea after he gave it to her, she tried to sleep with the king, King Herod at the time. She tried to sleep with him. But King Herod was a Jew, right? So, these type of things, fornication and stuff like that, not a thing for him, okay? So he didn't sleep with her, but she wanted to. And she was, they didn't know in the book, they didn't know what her motivation for it was. It could have been to get him to say he would sleep with her and then go tell Mark Anthony that he tried. It could have been to sleep with him, to have some leverage over him, something. Who knows what her motivation was. But the fact was, he had given her the world. Okay, and think about this. At the time, Rome rules the world, the known world, and he was giving her pieces of it as he took it. And it wasn't enough for her to not cheat. That wasn't enough for her to not cheat. So fellas, consider that. You're not giving your bride, your date, your girlfriend, provinces. Okay? You have not given her the state or the city that you live in. Uh, so, if you realize that even giving her gifts on that level won't stop her from trying to sleep with somebody else behind your back, just take it with a grain of salt, man. You know, a lot of people, dudes be saying this thing, I think it's funny, but they're like, it's just your turn, man. It's just your turn. You don't have nobody, man. It's just your turn. So, Mark Anthony should have just known that it's just his turn with Cleopatra. He didn't have to give her nothing, man. Because she wasn't going to act right no matter what he did. Boom. I saw this thing. It was like a therapist was talking about how sometimes women that come from trauma will self-sabotage the relationship. And the reason why they're doing it is because they want it to hurry up and fail so that they can start the healing process, right? They feel like they don't deserve the good things that are happening to them in this relationship, that is something bad is eventually going to happen. So why are we going to sit here and pretend like this is going to go well? Let's just speed it up. Let's sabotage it, get it over with, and then I'll pretend that I didn't sabotage it. This is your fault. You weren't good enough. The reality is I thought I wasn't good enough. I thought once you got to know me, you'd realize how flawed I was and you'd leave me. So I wanted to speed up that process by causing a conflict and forcing you to leave me so I could start the healing process. I've seen that. I've been a party to that. It's sad, man. It's the saddest thing because it's like, I know who you are. A lot of times with women who have trauma, think they're hiding it well, right? They think that, I'm really jacked up, but you can't tell because I got a really good mask. And you don't. You're like one of these people hiding behind a little thin tree thinking nobody can see you. I can see you fine. I know what you are. I've watched you operate. I know what you are. You're not hiding your trauma very well at all. But I still like you. Even this flawed individual hiding behind this tree and thinks they're covered. And I'm just laughing like, oh, yeah. I can't see. Ooh. I can't see. Where'd you go? I might even play the game with you. Oh, where'd you go? But you're right there. I see who you are. I see how you operate. I see how you move. So I know what you are. You're not hiding it well. But I still like you. That's why I'm here. It's not because you're fooling me. You're only fooling yourself. But I still like you. The way you are. Flaws and all. And they just can't wrap their head around that. They can't accept that. That's sad. I think that's sad. So they give up good people, good relationships, trying to avoid an ending that wasn't ever coming. And you can't convince them. You can't convince them that you weren't going to do that. I wasn't going to leave. If I was going to leave, I would have left a long time ago. I knew about you a long time ago, what you are. I was going to stay. You wouldn't let me. You wouldn't let me. That's sad. It's sad. It's sad. I'm not saying you should stay. Do not. A lot of times they'll treat you really, really, really bad in order to get you to hurry up and leave them. So I say, if they do that, you got to go. You end up in jail. Or dead or something. You got to go if they start doing that. But it's sad. It's sad to watch. It is. And you know what it stems from. You know it's from the trauma. They tell you. They tell you what happened to them. And this is just a product of it. It's not fair, man. And that's the thing. Parents got to be aware of what you're doing to your kids, man. You're making them forfeit any opportunity at love because of what you're doing to them. That childhood trauma is what's causing them to act this way as adults. And you're guaranteeing that they would never be in a loving relationship because they're going to sabotage it even if they were. Even if they had a chance at it, they'll sabotage it themselves. That's so sad. So sad. But I think as bad as you might feel about it, you can't stay. You can't stay. So anyway, think about that. Try not to self-sabotage. I don't know, When you have trauma like that needs professional help. But get it. Go get the help. Do the work so you can be better and not have to forfeit your opportunity at real love. Boom, we're at the 45-minute mark. So we're at 15 minutes over, but we had a lot of ground to cover. All right, so I appreciate y'all's attention being here. And I look forward to the next show. Come back and see us. Peace.